Okay, so funny story for you guys. So we're between
somewhere between Nice and Rome.
yeah, somewhere
Oh my
between
God.
Nice and Rome. It's between Tortona and Bologna. I don't know how to pronounce the second one, but we were supposed to catch a night train between the two. Now, originally, when we tried to book the night trains, the reservations didn't go through, so we didn't get anything. Now, you can book a reservation at the station, but the problem with night trains is that generally there's no one at the station. So there were 3 changes that we had to make to get between Nice and Rome. First train, no problem, got the reservation, we were good. Second train that we're on right now, we get to the station, no one's there. So we're like, alright, well we've got the Eurail pass, so we technically can get on the train, we just don't have a reservation, so we'll see how it goes. So train shows up, and the first indication that something might go wrong was as we're watching the train pass, we just see that there's a bunch of beds. It's a night train, not chairs, beds, reserved beds. So we're like, alright, so we're gonna hop onto the back of the train hoping that maybe we can just kind of sneak under the radar a little bit. Get on. No. Radar's good. They told us to go up to the second car because, that's where they have a few seats. We're like, alright. So we go up to the second car, we grab a couple seats, but as the train makes a couple more stops, more people get on, and we realize the seats that we had picked are also reserved. So we end up sitting out in the hall on the second car because there's no seats, there's no room, everything is reserved. Great. So as we're sitting there, I notice that there's a cabin that's all locked up and the lights are out and everything. And I'm like, okay. So as some employees are walking past, I'm like, hey, could we maybe get in there? And they're like, no, it's for staff only. I'm like, well, dang. Couple minutes later, whoops, security guards come by and they grab us and they're like, hey, can we see your passports? And we're like, yeah. So they grab the passports and they go off to the side where there's a little bit of light and they start checking our passports and running the numbers. And I kind of hear them say, now my Italian is not good. I can only pick up Latin roots. But as far as I could tell, they thought we were like stowaway illegal immigrants from Nice, from France.
Yeah, they said something about why are their passports American?
Yeah.
I didn't catch all of it.
And we didn't have reservations, and our Eurail passes are just passes. They're not technically tickets, they're just passes. So,
they are tickets.
yeah,
just
they're
not,
tickets.
not specific reservations.
Yeah, but they're not reservations. So, yeah. So they are running our passports, and we're just sitting there like, oh no, we might get arrested. Because we technically snuck onto this train. Technically. So after a few minutes of them deliberating over our passports and everything, the guys come back, they hand back our passports, they pull out a key, they open up the staff room cabin for us, and say that we can use it until we have to get off. Hey! I'm sorry, I just can't help it. Just the fact that we, at 10 p.m., in the middle of nowhere in Italy.
11.
Well, yeah, but 10 is when we got onto the train.
Yeah,
And we just, hopped onto the last car, fingers crossed. They didn't even ask to see our Eurail passes. They just asked for passports. By the way, very few people check tickets out here. We've walked on to trains and walked off. Now, granted, we paid for it, we reserved things, but
it's true.
only once has anyone ever checked tickets, and that was just because we were sitting in first class. And now this is the only time anyone's ever checked a passport. So,
It's true.
I'm not saying anything if you guys ever come to Europe, but that's what I'm saying. So anyways, we're now sitting in staff quarters, about to hop off the train in well, a little over half an hour because it's not the longest train ride. But there was a few seconds where we were sitting in the hall and I was just thinking, how did it come to this? Why are we here? Should we ever take a night train again on this trip, considering we can't get reservations if there are any changes? We can only get reservations for the first train, and that's because we're in the city at the time. But if we have to go get a reservation after like 10 p.m., we're not going to be able to get it. So, I mean, we got lucky this time. I don't know what's going to happen next time.
We'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
But for the bucket list, 1. Snuck onto a train in Italy. 2. Got put into the staff's quarters because there was nowhere else and they liked us. Honestly, that's it. I was looking for 3, but I couldn't think of anything. So, but yeah, we're having a good old time. Sorry for the long video. Subscribe.